Hi, I'm Jody Daniels, the founder and CEO of Red Clover Advisors, a certified women's privacy consultancy. I'm a privacy consultant and a certified informational privacy professional, helping provide practical privacy support to overwhelmed companies.
Hi, Justin Daniels here. I am passionate about helping companies solve complex cyber and privacy challenges during the life cycle of their business. I do that through identifying the problem and coming up with practical solutions. I am a cybersecurity subject matter expert and business attorney.
And this episode is brought to you by Red Clover Advisors. We help companies to comply with data privacy laws and establish customer trust so that they can grow and nurture integrity. We work with companies in a variety of fields, including technology, SaaS, e commerce, media agencies, professional and financial services. In short, we use data privacy to transform the way companies do business. Together, we're creating a future where there is greater trust between companies and consumers. To learn more, visit redcloveradvisors.com. And today, I am so excited to welcome my friend, Ben Halpert, to the show. So, who's Ben? Well, Ben is a security executive by day and a cyber hero by night. He's the VP Risk and Corporate Security at Ionic Security and the founder of the 501c3 nonprofit Savvy Cyber Kids. For fun, Ben develops and teaches the cybersecurity curriculum at Emory Universities when school's in session, and he lives and dreams in a security, privacy, and risk management mindset with the goal of helping our kids and organizations be empowered by the technology we all use every day. So, Ben, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
We're so excited. We are here. This is a really important topic. And so many parents need to understand what these fancy devices are that they have and that kids are using all the time and how to keep them safe online. So I'm really excited to get started. But before we do, Justin has some thoughts.
Yeah, I think that Ben sounds like he's one of the characters from our kids' PJ Masks. He's the regular guy, and then at night he dons his cyber savvy outfit to help kids and parents stay safe in the cyber environment.
And I should know
Yeah,
that
that's pretty much exactly it.
yeah, and you even use cyber heroes or like big superheroes in
Yeah.
your materials. So
You
that's
put on a cape and a mask for the day someone asks, "What's your name and where do you live?" Your Savvy Cyber Kid name is all that you give. It's from a book. I might have written it.
I can think of some of the superhero outfits that you could wear as part of Cyber Savvy Kids.
Maybe I'll be.
Is this a G-rated show, or I'm
gonna be the new
asking for a
purple
friend?
PJ Masks. Thank you very much. All right.
He knows what I'm thinking and which character.
Moving right along. Ben, tell us tell us a little bit more about your role in cybersecurity at Ionic and tell us what you're doing by day. And then we're going to switch gears into the superhero world that we live in.
Okay. So I actually got my cybersecurity career started at Lockheed Martin Corporation, and I was there for about 12 years working on cybersecurity, although we didn't call it that then. We called it, information assurance is what the industry was called way back when. And from there, I moved on to McKesson Corporation, and then from there to Ionic Security. So I've been in the cybersecurity industry, compliance, risk management, corporate internal audit, physical security, all that fun stuff for over 20 years. And, from a day-to-day perspective, that involves managing cyber risk to the company, managing physical risk, managing product and solution security, and making sure we're complying with industry and country legislation.
All right.
So that's kind of the day job.
So why don't we turn to Ben donning his superhero by night and talk to us a little bit about how you got started with cyber savvy kids. I can't speak.
Savvy Cyber Kids. It's
Yes.
a tongue twister. I know.
It seems.
I know it's tough.
See, I'm getting the rolling eyes. You can't see that if you're. But talk to you. How did that get started, and what does it do today?
So I was doing a stretch assignment actually when I was at Lockheed Martin, and I was at Birmingham's airport. So we did a Lockheed Martin had the contract for TSA after 9/11 to federalize all the security checkpoints. So I raised my hands because they were looking for people to go manage those activities at airports all across the country. And so I asked my wife if I could go and do Hawaii or something fun like that. And she said, no, you need to be in driving distance. So I did Birmingham. Anyway, one day at lunch in Birmingham, this was about 2002. I was just sitting there at my computer. I remember it. And I was staring at the Yahoo search page, news page. Doesn't look anything like it does today. And for some reason, I just started thinking about how, everything that I do and think about is related to information security, cybersecurity, physical security. So I kind of know what's happening, online. I know what's happening in the physical world when it comes to risk management, but no one else in my sphere knew anything about that. And so I started thinking about, and this was before I had kids, I started thinking about parents that had kids that are putting their kids online, what they would need to know. So I finished my sandwich and I started actually creating a PowerPoint presentation that day during lunch. And then I went off to my first school, and I never stopped since then, talking to parents about the threats that their kids are up against and how they can make sure that their kids are successful as they use the technology they love. So I started that speaking to parents and teachers in 2002. And then I formed the nonprofit Savvy Cyber Kids in 2007.
So tell us, how many schools have you visited and kids have you talked to since that first PowerPoint presentation?
That's a great question, and I have no idea. So on the Savvy Cyber Kids website, we do have a listing of, it's almost up to date, listing of the schools that we've been to. But many of the schools I've been to 4 or 5 times. And that's because when we work with a school, I really like to get involved in the culture of the school. So not just come in and do a session, but understand, the policies, the acceptable use policies, for example, that are at the school. Y'all are fuzzy, by the way.
I know.
Don't know if you knew that.
I just saw that we're fuzzy on our video recording.
I think it's the cyber stream from the garbage truck.
No, there you go.
We're not fuzzy
There
anymore.
again.
The garbage truck.
Might have been the garbage
Interrupting
truck.
our Wi-Fi. Man in the middle attack from the garbage truck.
It's the FBI van outside. I know. What comes around my hood too. So so we work with schools, and so I've presented to thousands of kids from age 3 all the way through 18. Presented to teachers to teach them how to teach with technology and ethics in mind, and done sessions for parents and grandparents. So I kind of built Savvy Cyber Kids on creating the educational materials needed for students age 3 to 18, and then help those caregivers understand what they're up against, and then how they can raise kids or grandkids to be successful, or their students.
So Ben, speaking of your prolific public speaking, tell us what it was like when you did a TED Talk on this topic and what that experience was like.
So I actually was invited to do 2 TED Talks, which I was very honored about. The first one, I got an email from somebody on the committee looking for speakers for TEDx Vilnius in Lithuania. And I actually thought it was a joke when I got it. It said, we found you online. We want to invite you, to apply to be a TEDx presenter in Vilnius, Lithuania. So I responded back and said, well, thank you. So let's talk. So I did, a couple Skype meetings with the team over there. They were a fantastic group of individuals. And it was a phenomenal experience flying there. It's the first time that I've ever been to Lithuania. And it was really cold and it was really snowy because it was in the wintertime. But I had an amazing time. And in lieu of just doing a TED Talk, I also did a session with kids in Lithuania. And so there were translators in the room. And so we got to do Savvy Cyber Kids sessions, and they got to don their capes and masks and all that fun stuff while we were there. So there's some video of kind of what happened afterwards on YouTube. There's a TED Talk and then the part with the kids as well. Not the session, but what happened afterwards. And the kids presenting their Savvy Cyber Kids, cyber hero identities. So that was really, really fun. And then the second one was doing a TED Talk on technology addiction and what parents could do about it. And that one I did in St. Thomas. And so that one was another phenomenal week. Basically, there were kind of week-long events because of the prep and the practice and all that stuff that goes into TED events. And again, another really fantastic group of people. I mean, the people that put on TED events locally are amazing, really, really dedicated, really, really passionate about helping their communities. So it was another great experience.
So today we have obviously technology addiction, but we also have a lot of parents giving kids devices at even younger ages. It seems like every year the age keeps getting younger. And then schools are using devices, and there's devices for every, it feels like kids are literally addicted, using them all the time. So what do parents need to consider? What are some of the big items that I get this new device, I crack it open, I put all their favorite games on it? What else should they be doing? What do they need to be considering?
Yeah. So it depends on where you are. So, if it's you just got your kid a new device or their first device, and they're young, you need to do things like setting restrictions and making sure that they ask you within parental controls before they buy anything, before they can download anything, so that you can understand what they're going to be exposed to on certain apps. You can also go in, and so there's Family Link for Android, and then there's Screen Time for Apple devices. They both work great natively, and they both let you do things like set the ratings on G, PG, PG-13 type of material kids can see through a web browser on the device. But these parental controls are not foolproof. So if you give your child a full function Android device or Apple device, know that pretty quickly they're going to see completely inappropriate things for them at their age. And this is because we're giving kids this technology, really powerful technology. I mean, massive computing power in a really small form factor that they take everywhere, including their rooms, which we can talk about later, how to deal with that. But because of that, and because the way the algorithms work on suggesting new things and ads, your kids are exposed to things like pornography. And so, the average age of pornography exposure is somewhere between 7 and 8 years old. And kids don't understand what that is. They don't understand what they're seeing, but you don't even have to have a Twitter account, and you can see it on Twitter as an example, right? And so who would think that, Twitter is full of pornography, but it actually is. And when kids sign up for things, when they sign up for accounts, whatever app it might be, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Snapchat, whether it doesn't matter, what, any game, any app, any website, they've only answered that question wrong once. That says, are you over 18? Are you over 13? So they answered that question wrong and they got denied access. So they went and they opened the browser again, or they reloaded the app, and they picked a new date that made them the magical age they needed to be. So, this is a 10-year-old saying that they're 19 years old so they can get into a certain app. And that is extremely prolific. And the gaming communities, the social media communities have a really, really hard time managing that.
So Ben, you alluded to what to do when your kids go up to their room. And I know our daughter has stalked off, especially when we had the TikTok discussion. She's like, I want TikTok. And we're like, not ever happening. And do you know what industry your parents are both in? And she stomped off a little bit. We heard a loud shutting of the door. And let's pick back the story with Ben.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. So every year, and it's kind of like in a year cycle, really. Every year there is a new game that every child wants. There is a new social media platform that every child wants. So, remember there was the Fortnite craze. Well, now it's Among Us, right? It doesn't mean people don't play Fortnite anymore, but it means, people are now playing in Among Us as well. So, that changes all the time. This year has been, the year of TikTok, if you will. And, before that it was Instagram, but then parents got on Instagram. So kids needed somewhere else to go. And then, the kids use Snapchat because their parents aren't on Snapchat. But now Instagram has now all the features that that Snapchat does about the disappearing messages and things like that, because Facebook's trying to, play catch up to keep users throughout their life cycle of a human, that is, from an advertising, revenue generation perspective. So, your kids have no idea about what's really happening with them and their information when they're in these apps and in these games. They're just looking to have fun. But you mentioned, no TikTok on your kids' phones. My eldest kids, I let them have the choice whether they have it or not. One does and the other one does not. They both manage risk differently, as everyone is an individual, and how they handle that kind of thing. And then our youngest is just too young to have a phone, as an example.
It's like the 4 questions. I'm thinking of the next time we do this, we'll make it in the form of the 4 questions.
We can do that.
Yeah.
So for parents who might want to allow their children to have some of these apps, so you had mentioned your eldest has TikTok or the coolest new game. What do I need to be worried about with these apps or the game, and how can I manage that risk?
So, the way you deal with the risk management from an older child to a younger child is completely different. So from an older child perspective, hopefully you have been talking about, using devices in a smart manner, thinking about your actions before you post anything or take any videos or pictures. You've already had discussions with your kids about not taking pictures or videos with their clothes off. So there's these kind of like basic conversations that you've had over the years to when they're old enough to be on something like a TikTok. But the biggest thing that I would say that parents need to look out for with any game or any social media app, even for older kids, is that these are hunting grounds for sexual predators. And, sexual predators have a type. So, if they want an 11-year-old boy, they know what game or app to go for that. If they want a 14-year-old girl, they know what social media app to go to for that. So, they each have a type, a preference. They know where to go. They find your kids and our kids by their profiles. So if they're using their real name, if they're using their real profile picture, that's how they get chosen to be the next victim. That's why one of the recommendations for, especially early on for kids, is do not use your face in a profile picture. So, I was asked to be on the news for a TV interview about a predator that was specifically targeting middle school girls at private schools in the Atlanta area. This was about maybe 2 years ago. And this predator had a type. If you looked, and I looked during the course of the interview at who this person had followed, they all had the same skin complexion. They all had the same the hair color. So, if you want to reduce the risk of your child being a target, don't let them put their real name. Don't let them put the school they go to. Don't let them use their face picture in their profile. And that way, social media can be a safer type of environment. Now, even if you do that, what these predators do is they'll find their friends that didn't actually take the precautions necessary, and they'll be convinced to connect with this person because either they don't care what their parents told them, they think it's fake about people trying to hurt them through a phone or a tablet, and they'll connect with strangers. And then once they do that, they'll start connecting to those people that have those private profiles, or don't use their face picture or their real name. And so the hope there is that when a connection request comes into your child who made the right decision by having the right kind of profile and picture, that the sexual predator is hoping that, well, they'll see I'm friends with these 10 people that they already know, so they'll probably accept me too. And so these are the kind of discussions you need to have with your kids. And if you can keep your kids communicating only with people that they know from the neighborhood, the school community, extracurricular activities, extended family, friends of friends that they've met before in the physical world, that's a really good way to have a safe environment, and stop the sexual predators from allowing your kids to be a target, unfortunately.
So Ben, I muscled Jody out of the way. This is like getting a rebound in basketball. So one of the big themes on our
UFC
podcast,
moment number one. Ding, ding, ding.
Nice. So, Ben, one of the big themes on our podcast with a variety of guests is privacy and cybersecurity are inconvenient, meaning you have to take steps to be more cyber secure. And what do you say to the parents? And Jody and I have sometimes fallen into this category is our lives have become so harried in going in so many different directions, and you have to find the time to learn this stuff and to go on the apps and to make a concerted effort to do all this. And I think a lot of times parents become overwhelmed and exhausted, and this is one more thing they want to do, and they're like, we'll just let it ride. What do you say to parents who feel that way and look at the world that way?
So that's one of the reasons why I actually created the nonprofit after doing work for several years without having a nonprofit, because I wanted to actually create, digestible material for parents. So, one of the things that we do is that we actually put out a daily conversation starter email. The most important thing that any parent can do with their kids is to talk about the technology that their kids use and love. Because, there may be a bad thing that happens to your child. You want your child to know that they can come to you and have that discussion so you can help them. I get calls all the time from parents about issues that have happened in the past. And if you can start the conversation earlier with your children, as soon as you hand them that first tablet, that first phone, you start the conversation, the easier it is to manage expectations of technology use and what's appropriate in your family. So, we have these conversation starters that we put out on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram every day. So it gives you, kind of the good of technology and some of the bad of technology, and poses some questions so you can have that conversation. We also created a kind of a technology family rules page that's free to use and customize. And it's meant so that parents can sit with their kids and say, okay, which one of these rules, which few rules do you think are appropriate for a family? And it'll let you go through and just click them, and then you put your email in and it emails you your own personalized copy. I have no idea who uses it. We don't capture those emails. It is just so you get a customized copy. And it's meant, that page is there so you can come back, because as your kids grow, your needs are going to change. So that's another thing we do. We also have digital parenting guides that you can read. We have blogs that we post a couple times a month. We have Ask Savvy Cyber Kids. People email me all the time about questions. We turn those answers into blog posts if we haven't covered the topic already. But I'll tell you, most of the inbound questions that I get recently have been around help. We gave our son or daughter a phone. They use it in completely inappropriate ways. What do we do now? It's like, cat's out of the bag. How do we fix it? So, we wrote some blogs on that, and some Ask Savvy Cyber Kid answers for that too. So trying to make it as easy as possible through the nonprofit to help parents with this. But let me give you one tech tip, and I know you all will appreciate this. Probably the easiest thing that anyone can do, because we all hold these devices in our hands or we sit at them, right? If it's a tablet, if it's a phone, it's a computer. Whenever you get a notification that there is a software update available for that phone that's in your hand, the tablet that's in your hand, or the computer that you're using, stop what you're doing, save your work if you're working on something, take a deep breath, because you don't like doing this because you got interrupted, and do the update for those devices. Because manufacturers, Apple, Google, Microsoft, whoever, they only put out updates when someone has figured out how to remotely control and take control of that device that you're on. Now, they don't say that when you get the pop-up. When you get the pop-up on your phone, if you're on a phone, it says, we've created some new usability enhancements and more buttons and features and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, if you click the link that's on there and you go and read, well, then you see, absolutely. Manufacturers do not push updates unless someone has figured out a way to remotely control that device, such as turning on and off your camera and stealing everything off of your device. So the easiest thing to do, you are presented as a user, a kid, a parent, with this update request. Would you like to install it? Absolutely. Do that as soon as you get that. So that's my kind of number one tip for what to do first.
Thank you. You also had mentioned you get a lot of questions, help. Parents have already shared the phone. They might not have gone through the family guide. What are some of the top items that a family can do to address the situation that might have gotten out of control?
So, your knee-jerk reaction may be to get mad at your child for doing something they shouldn't do. but that's not the appropriate response. The appropriate response is to be mad at yourself. And that's because you didn't prepare your child to have a positive experience using that technology, whatever it is, a gaming platform, an iPad, an Android phone, whatever it is. And what you need to do is you need to actually tell your child, I'm sorry that this happened. We will work through it. We will figure this out together on how to make a more, a more safe, more private, a better experience. And so, hopefully whatever happened isn't so bad that law enforcement is involved now, but hopefully it's at the point where you can have conversations where you can say, this is why you should or shouldn't be using this certain app. For social media apps as an example, there is really no need for any child under 13 to be on those. Their brains can't actually process what they're experiencing on those because of their brain development and physically on where they are. And so, your 10-year-old, your 9-year-old, your 11-year-old, every day they're going to be a broken record. I want TikTok. I want Snapchat. I want whatever. They're not ready to handle it yet.
He's in your head.
Are you in our house?
He's in your head.
I'm in every parent's house, just like Alexa and Siri are too. And that's the topic for another show.
Alexa and Siri aren't here.
Oh.
No, I don't have Siri on my phone.
Okay. So, Ben, we really appreciate your time today, and you gave us that great personal cyber tip. But off the topic of all things cyber savvy and privacy, what do you like to do for fun?
What do I like to do for fun? I don't know. You have any work you need me to do in risk management, cybersecurity, physical security arena?
That subject is excluded from this survey. Go back to start. P.S. Have a nice day.
Yeah. So, hang out with my family. That's really what I do. I spend a lot of my free time doing Savvy Cyber Kids work. And, when I'm not doing that and I'm not working my my day job, if you will, I'm, working on, enhancing curriculum for the cybersecurity class that I teach over at Emory, and trying to make that better for each new semester and group of students. And those are all students, by the way, that are looking for career change. They've seen how much growth there is in the cybersecurity industry and are looking to make a career change. So, that's kind of really exciting for me to do that. So when I'm not doing that, I hang out with my family.
I like it. Well, Ben, where can people keep up with you and learn more about Savvy Cyber Kids?
So follow us and interact with us on social media. So Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and go to savvycyberkids.org. Sign up. We have 2 newsletters. One is a monthly newsletter that sends out the blogs that we wrote that past month. And another newsletter is a weekly conversation starter email. So if you don't want to get our conversation starters in social media every day, once a week, we kind of send an aggregated list of all the articles that have come out that we have shared with the community that could be used as conversation starters, and they cover all different types of topics.
So folks, please go and visit Savvy Cyber Kids. The articles and the tips that are out there are fabulous. I take them all the time and share them with clients and people, and they're always very well received. So Ben, thank you so much for all the great work that you're doing to help.
Well, thank you. And thank you for contributing a December blog.
Oh, yes. Thank you for the opportunity. Everyone go read the remote work tips. Well, again, Ben, thank you so much. And we'll put all these links in the show notes, and we will be sure to have you back and talk about the next big trends that we all need to be thinking about.
Sounds good. Thank you all for having me. It's been fun.